All right. Now, what is your proposal in terms of your blue sky idea?
Right. Back in the day, we used to call this Armchair Imagineering.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is kind of fun. My idea, my concept is kind of a problem solving situation, and it's all related to the Matterhorn. Now, we love the Matterhorn. We love how unique it is, the toboggan type style. It's just so iconic for Disneyland Park, and it's great. It's been a mainstay since 1959 when they relaunched the park with the monorail, the submarines, and the Matterhorn bobsleds all on the same day. They were the first e-tickets, July 17th, 1959. So yeah, I mean it's awesome. It's great, but it has some flaws. It was one of the first tubular steel roller coasters even invented, installed by Aero Development, unfortunately now defunct. And I believe the layout was actually worked on by Bill Martin and Bob Gurr. Bob Gurr talks about how, hey, look, I failed geometry, but I had to teach myself trigonometry just to kind of like go through this process of a rail type design that was wholly unique to this attraction when it first opened. The first kind of tubular steel track, the way you bank those curves, the way you keep that bobsled in motion on that track, doing those kind of hairpin maneuvers. That was a fresh new concept back in the 1950s. So if we go to the construction of the Matterhorn, as a result of its being from that era, it's a pretty simple design. You have a steel skeleton on kind of with timbers attached to it, supporting the rockwork structure around it. And that design right there has given them some trouble over the years. As we now know, it's undergoing refurbishment right now, actually. And that's been part of a 10 to 15-year process of taking it down for 4 months at a time and literally rebuilding it from the inside out. And it's been kind of a crazy thing because it isn't kind of an aging structure, and it was built in a way that you wouldn't necessarily build an attraction like this nowadays. If you look at Expedition Everest, the roller coaster structure is completely separate. It does not does not interact with the mountain structure. Back in the Matterhorn's case, they actually attached the roller coaster elements to the structural steel supports of the Matterhorn itself. And what that causes is a bunch of vibrations that go through the mountain, and it creates turbulence. There's some engineering aspects to it that are undesirable. So again, it's like this is not something that you would normally do. So there are those kind of problems, but to get to why I'm even bringing this up right now is because we all know that track. That track is, it's 1959. If you look at the lifespan of any other type of track that you see out in the wild for any kind of roller coaster, they usually have a lifespan of like 20 to 30 years. And we know that Space Mountain has recently had its track completely replaced. Big Thunder Mountain in Disneyland has had its track completely replaced. Yet Matterhorn's the oldest, and it hasn't. And the question is, why? We know it's a ride that'll beat you up. It's an extremely rough ride. It's extremely rough track. The reason why you feel those vibrations and the reason it is so rough is two reasons. One, it's extremely old, so it's got some divots in it. It's got some pits. When you have tubular steel and they're misaligned, that creates a lot of vibration and a lot of discomfort. But also, too, the way it was designed, I mean, going back into the book here, it was designed, let's see here. It was designed well before the days of computer simulations. The track was designed with a slide rule, marbles, and daring disregard for personal safety. So it was way before computers, and it feels like it. And one of the things that Bob Gurr even mentioned was, it didn't have it wasn't built with like heartline rolls involved. Modern coasters today, the way they kind of sweep and swoop is all to kind of curve in such a way that it keeps that center of gravity, that kind of heart line, the kind of center of mass of a guest riding it in a comfortable position. So you're not it's not twisting and turning where it wants to. It's sweeping and moving in a way that keeps you that keeps a comfortable position. You can go into detail about how heartline rolls are different than traditional rolls. Well, Matterhorn features a lot of those kind of rough angles and rough transitions. And so it was always like, okay, how can we fix this? What type of new technology, what kind of new system can we implement to kind of mitigate these forces on this attraction while still keeping it in its toboggan type style? And it brought me to this. Let's see. This is a single rail concept by a company called Rocky Mountain Construction. Rocky Mountain Construction they're out of, I think, Idaho. They've been in the business since the mid 2000s, and what they really specialize in is converting old woody roller coasters to hybrid coasters, and they do this with their kind of patented I-beam style track. And recently they came out with a concept that takes the I-beam style track, takes it to a single rail, and has a coaster built straight from that. The advantages to this are many. With a tubular steel roller coaster, there are certain transitions you can make between elements, and there are certain transitions you can't because the tolerances are too tight, it's too much stress on the track, and so forth. In this way, you don't have to worry about any of those things. You don't have to worry about keeping those tracks parallel. You can make this is one of those converted coasters that they've done. You can make transitions in a much more aggressive way because you only have one track to actually worry about, and because it's iBox steel, you can do some really impressive things. That's the Raptor track with the single rail design with inline seating. Anyway, the center of gravity is lower. The amount of supports you require is less. I think this would be a perfect concept for the Matterhorn. Convert it from the first tubular steel roller coaster to a groundbreaking, state-of-the-art iBox steel roller coaster. What do you think?
Vash, this is a brilliant idea. Absolutely brilliant idea. And I love it because it's going to be more comfortable to ride, number one. But number two, aesthetically, if you look at how the flat surface of these beams, it looks more like ice. And it looks like something that a bobsled would ride along. I mean, this is perfect for the Matterhorn. I look at it's a very flat, it's not a rail. It's very flat, just like ice would be. You can even have it, have it like white or even like, kind of transparent to make it look real like ice. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Disney Family Man, what do you think about this idea to convert the Matterhorn with this new track tech?
I think like there's once in a blue moon type of an idea that can fit an attraction, and this would be it, especially for how old the Matterhorn is. And as you just touched upon, Orange Grove, that it could blend in very well, that it could actually fit the mountain where you could have it so you can't divide what is the track and what is the mountain. It's just basically you're riding the mountain. And that's what you could do with this type of track. I've never actually heard of this type of track until now. And it honestly, if there's one ride out there that would need the help with this type of track, would be the Matterhorn.
And you know what? If you were riding on a track this smooth, because Matterhorn is a real jerky experience, if you're riding on a track this smooth, that ride is going to feel 10 times faster. I mean, it's gonna zip through,
and it would guarantee pretty much giving the Matterhorn the immortality that it deserves, because I think we're all kind of worried, as the Matterhorn keeps on going and more riders go on it, it's going to become decrepit and where they have to constantly shut it down for refurbishment. Where if they actually shut it down for a lengthy period of time, replace the track with this kind of technological track, I think it would do it much better in the long run than to have it closed down for a lengthy period of time and then reopen it, and then pretty much the Matterhorn's good to go. Because I'm just waiting for the day, knock on wood, that they say the Matterhorn is just too beat up to even operate anymore. And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they're pretty good about refurbing the Matterhorn. I don't know, Vash, you probably know better than I do with the details, but it's like once a year it goes down at least, right? It's
like once
frequent.
a year. Once a year it goes down probably on average, and for a couple months at a time. Yeah.
But
I mean, they do keep it up. Yeah.
This would definitely help, because after the fact that I get off the Matterhorn, it feels like it takes my back to 1959. So it's like,
Exactly.
Right. This would alleviate a lot of those structural problems. And RMC is a company who specializes in converting old coasters to these new styles and designs. Obviously, I don't think they've ever worked with tubular steel in this fashion, especially within a mountain or rock work like it is. But I think you could do it. It would be an engineering puzzle that you'd have to solve, but I believe you could actually bring it out. It's interesting. This one of these attractions right now currently exists in California's Great America. And the vice president and general manager of that park said, I felt like I was kind of on a toboggan. So that was his quote. So it already kind of feels like that from what I understand. So it's a natural fit for the Matterhorn bobsleds. There have been concepts over the years about, okay, well, what if we outright replace the Matterhorn with a kind of newly constructed mountain, not so dissimilar to the technology that we used with Expedition Everest? And, that kind of went back and forth, and it was, and in that instance, they would have constructed a new mountain, let's say behind Storybook Land, taking up the Fantasy Fair area and so forth, and then having it be constructed at the time that the Matterhorn was still operating. And then, obviously, when that's open, the Matterhorn would be, as we know, it would be retired, and that would be the new Matterhorn. They opted to instead rebuild it from the inside out over this kind of long, extended period of time. But even then, you still have the original track. You still have the original problems that are inherent, that are kind of baked into the cake at this point for the Matterhorn. And I think this would overcome them quite beautifully.
Yeah, no, this is brilliant. This is a great solution. This is a perfect blend of keeping the nostalgia of the Matterhorn, but just making it better. You're not taking away from the experience. You're adding to it. You're keeping the attractions old school. You're giving it longevity, life going forward. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. If anyone from Disney WDI is watching, this is what you do.
This is it. I got your solution right here. Gonna be a while. It's gonna take some engineering magic, but you guys can do it. You guys can figure it out.
That was fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.